Before we continue, I'd just like to draw your attention to my revamped Patreon, where supporters can now receive a whole series of new benefits. Check out the link in the description box below. If you visit Germany today, you will not see any of the symbols of Nazi Germany publicly displayed, except in certain museums. After Germany's surrender in May 1945, the Allies initiated a program of denazification, and part of that program was the gathering up and burning of National Socialist emblems, flags, uniforms, posters, and so on. And also the physical eradication of emblems carved into buildings and monuments. Following the creation of West Germany, laws were also created outlawing the display of Nazi imagery or symbols on pain of imprisonment. Some exceptions to these strict rules do exist, primarily allowing for the use of such symbols in film and television work, and also concerning museum exhibits. Why all this was done is outside the scope of this video, but as with all such campaigns, there are always exceptions. Incredibly, 80 years after Hitler's death, there is at least one place in Germany where a Nazi-era flag is still flown as part of a memorial with the blessing of the government. But it is not common knowledge to foreigners. In the years after VE Day, Germany faced one particular challenge: how to remember its war dead. In Allied countries, this was not a problem. Monuments were built and consecrated, or World War I monuments were added to. But for the Germans it was a difficult problem. Millions of soldiers had indeed died during the war, and honouring them was of course normal. But regarding military casualties, they died explicitly in the service of Adolf Hitler and in a war of conquest, subjugation, and genocide. The new German state had somehow to break the connection between the soldiers who had died and what they had died for. In the case of the German army, the existing memorial was the Neue Wache, built in central Berlin in 1816-18 and used as an official war memorial for German soldiers from the 1930s up until 1945. The problem was, post-1945, the damaged Neue Wache ended up in the Soviet occupation zone of Berlin, and so the West Germans had no access to it. It was later repurposed by the East German authorities into a monument to the victims of fascism and militarism. It took a long time for the West German authorities to settle on a politically acceptable memorial location. In 1971, Ehrenbreitstein Fortress in Kolberg was chosen to house the Army Memorial, which was completed the same year. The reconstituted Luftwaffe, or German Air Force, began its search for a suitable memorial location in 1957. The town of Fürstenfeldbruck was chosen, and the memorial opened in 1962. In both cases, the memorials are very simple affairs, and do incorporate the Iron Cross, that very German symbol, in this case the denazified 1957 version. The Naval Memorial is a bit more involved. In 1936, during the Nazi period, a large memorial was opened at Labor in northern Germany to commemorate the World War I dead of the Imperial Navy. In 1945, the Labor Naval Memorial was turned over to the British, who then restored ownership of it to West Germany in 1954. The Naval Memorial is special in that it has a very famous World War II relic on display. The U-boat U-995, the only remaining Type 7 U-boat to have survived the war, the type being the workhorse of the Kriegsmarine U-boat campaign during World War II. This submarine surrendered to the British on the 9th of May 1945 and was subsequently given to the Norwegians. In 1965, Norway offered it to West Germany for use as a museum vessel, and indeed it was set up as such at Labo in 1971. Beneath the Labo Memorial there is a Hall of Remembrance, full of memorials, and also a museum area full of artifacts, and one room called the Flag Room. This room displays all the different naval ensigns used by the German Navy in its many incarnations, from Imperial Germany to the modern Bundesmarine, and includes also the ensign of the East German Navy. But as you can see, the Nazi period is also officially represented. This is the German battle flag, the Reichskriegsflagge, used from 1935 to 1945. This flag was used by the German Army and the Luftwaffe as a war flag, and by the Kriegsmarine as its unique ensign, with the German national flag, seen here, flown on Kriegsmarine warships on the jackstaff. This flag was designed personally by Hitler. It was first flown on the 7th of November 1935 and the last time on the 23rd of May 1945, 3 weeks after the German surrender at the dissolution of Grand Admiral Karl Dönnitz's rump Nazi government at Flensburg in northern Germany, which was dissolved by British troops that day. However, I should add that although officially it was removed on the 23rd of May 1945 at Flensburg-Moorvik, I have subsequently found that there is a German war flag still on display from a flagpole at this German Naval Academy. As seen here, it is part of the Academy's Military History Training Center, which hosts a collection of artifacts from 1848 to the present day. It is displayed hanging from a flagpole above the model of a World War II U-boat, and I'm not really sure whether this is simply a museum exhibit or whether it is some kind of memorial. It's certainly interesting that 80 years after the British hauled down the German war flag from Flensburg-Moorvik, one of them is still hanging from a flagpole in one of the buildings on the site. Anyway, do get in contact and perhaps you can tell me exactly what's going on here. Returning to Labor, the flag today flown inside the Naval War Memorial is, I think, the last Nazi flag still officially flown in Germany, and it is there as part of the flag display due to historical reality. You can't have such a display of all the historical flags of the German Navy and ignore a very important 10-year period in its history. That would be ludicrous. But the fact that it is flown inside an official memorial of the German Navy makes it different from simply being a museum exhibit, for it is part of the memorialization of Germany's war dead, and not, of course, the glorification of the Nazi period or of the wartime Kriegsmarine. To my mind, and I'm sure the minds of many other people, it is there for a specific purpose, alongside the other flags that serve the same purpose of memorialization. When you see flags displayed in this manner in British memorials, the purpose is quite clear. It is not a museum, but an official memorial. In the case of the German Naval Memorial, as I mentioned, it's not the case of having such a flag on display, it is the way it is displayed. Not political, but in remembrance of war dead. I think it remains quite interesting, considering the German government's official attitude towards the flags and symbols of Nazi Germany. And again, I'd be very interested to hear from German viewers or from anybody else about what you think about all of this. And are there any other examples of this in Germany today? Many thanks for watching. Please subscribe and share, and also visit my audiobook channel, War Stories with Mark Felton. You can also help to support both of my channels at PayPal and Patreon, details in the description box below.